Cotney Attorneys and Consultants is dedicated to helping the construction industry with legal, business, and safety challenges. Welcome to this week's episode of Law Mortar with John Kenny and Trent Cotney.
Hi, welcome everybody to another episode of Law Mortar. Glad to have everybody here. I'm your host today, John Kenny. Trent is on assignment traveling over the next couple weeks, Chicago NRCA meetings and out in Western states for their board meetings. So today I have my special guest, Whitney Beasley, joining us. Whitney, how are you today?
Hey, I'm glad to join in. Excited to be a part of Law Mortar.
Yeah, we got, as always, Law Mortar is always busy, a lot of things going on. Just to kind of update everybody on the ETS that we're all watching out there. As of the taping of this, it has still been upheld and it's being challenged. So Trent is traveling, talk to him. We're kind of on get just like you said in the last one, stay prepared, keep your eyes out, and as things change, we'll keep you updated. But that's about all we can add on that. There's not a whole lot happening there other than challenge it. So a couple big things in the news. Infrastructure bill finally passed through Congress, getting signed by the president, ready to kick it out there. So what does that really all mean? That means we've got the huge amount of money coming in over the next so many years for infrastructure, which does not only include roads and bridges and storage and water and all the good things. There's going to be money in there also for the the kind of construction, vertical, not just horizontal construction. So it's going to be both. So really, we need it. There's no doubt about it. It's good to upgrade our stuff, but I think one thing we got to look at is going to put even a bigger strain on the already non-existent labor force that is out there in the construction industry. We're going to have more work available, shovels in the ground. There's going to be greater competition among different trades for getting people to do that. Whitney, I know on this one, I know you've talked to some of our clients and you've been talking to people in both HVAC, roofing, general contracting. How are they reacting to what we're hearing out there, which is finally going through?
Really, the question is, like, how is it going to affect your business? And so that's something that we're all watching and staying tuned for, is how is that going to affect the contractor? How does that affect your day-to-day? It's going to be really important to make sure that we're monitoring the effects and what that means for each individual. So, I mean, the questions are there. That's what we're hearing. And, we're just trying to stay on top of it and keep informed.
Yeah, I think definitely labor, it's like anything else. You're going to have these projects. So this is not a stimulus. I've heard some people confused on that. Absolutely not. These are the way you used to go around and see your federal dollars at work. That's what you're going to see on all the job sites in different areas. It's definitely funded, shovel-ready projects, but we have a strained labor force. So it's going to be interesting as which project moves ahead and where people go. Other thing we talked about, it came out on the news, I thought was released from the government. So we all know about inflation. It's definitely putting a strain. I do not see the supply chain improving anytime soon. I've talked to different manufacturers here, US and worldwide, and they don't see that changing. So on top of all that, inflation's going up, gas prices are soaring, supply chain's not there, can't get materials. We heard enough of that. I'm going to move beyond that. But what did we hear I believe it was the month of September, the greatest amount of people left the workforce ever. I think it was somewhere around 5 million people. Was that correct? I believe that's
the Great Resignation in massive amount.
Great Resignation. So that's an interesting topic. What's really going on with that? Whitney, I know you've gotten some information on this, so I'm going to kick this to you and see what you've heard on it so far.
Yeah. So there's a lot of different elements to this, to why that's happening. It's coming in the midst of towards the end of the pandemic, or so we hope. And so part of that is coming from work flexibility. You're seeing employers are trying to push people back to work, and people aren't wanting to, as far as working remote. So you've got the issue here of working remote versus some companies are trying to go ahead and make that something that is partly in, partly out, trying to make that flexibility. So that's what it leads to, is job flexibility. And if these employers are willing to give that to the employee. The other thing is retirement. There is a massive amount of population that was retiring, coming to retirement age, and that was exiting the workforce altogether. And then that comes back to the other of the job situation, where a lot of people who were taking care of their children that were not able to manage a job where if during whether a daycare or schools were closed, and were decided just to leave the workforce altogether. So there's a couple different elements here. Flexibility is number one, though, for sure. If employers were not willing to take that into consideration and allow the employee to have a more workable, flexible schedule, then you're just seeing altogether a mass exit and job career changes.
There are a lot of job career changes. And I think, looking into this a little deeper, I've got some feedback from on the labor front, economists, experts. I agree, retirement's a portion of it. And you're absolutely correct. It is the flexibility, the demands of the worker, what they're willing to do. I don't think this is my opinion, based upon I do not believe this is any longer based upon whether or not you're collecting unemployment or not collecting unemployment. This is people that had a job. They're not leaving a job to go collect a check from the government. They're either going to try their own entrepreneurship, or they're retiring because they have the money saved up and they don't want any part of it, or they're not willing to work at the job they worked at before, plain and simple. So I think what we're looking at with all this is probably, something we need to plan for as contractors and business owners. This isn't going to go away. I'm not saying we're going to have a great resignation every month, but this is probably the greatest power switch back to the worker in this country that we've seen since the early 1900s with the union movements. So not saying we're unionizing. Please don't, let me clarify that. I don't want to get emails saying that I'm promoting unionism. That's not what we're doing. But what's happening is the power's in the workers' hands right now. So what does that mean for us, the clients we work with that are in our industry, right? What that means is you've got to think outside the box. Let me give you an example. I was reading an article the other day. Truck driving industry, we all know they're looking for 30% more. They're 30% down minimum, drivers all over the place. So they're starting people driving trucks at $70,000, $80,000 a year with $15,000 sign-on bonuses. So I'm not saying that's your answer, but if you are a contractor and your minimum starting wage is way below that, you have to expect that you're not going to get the talent brought in that you want. So you got to be creative. I know we'll be talking about that in later episodes and what we can do for training, onboarding, and all kinds of great things coming up. But I think that pretty much sums that part of it up for the best we got right now. So Whitney, I know you're attuned here. What we got coming up at Cotney, kind of give our listeners a little quick look ahead of what we know. We told you Trent's traveling for 2 weeks out there. What else we got coming into
So we've got some exciting stuff as we come into the holidays. Obviously, next week is Thanksgiving. So this week, Cotney actually has a volunteering event at Metropolitan Ministries. We're going to be bringing our staff out there to volunteer to help the homeless in Tampa Bay. So we are excited about that. Coming up, though, for everyone else, though, we are looking at we're going to have some big sales happening on Black Friday. We're going to have a Black Friday sale on Shop Cotney, and we're also going to have a Cyber Monday sale. So we're excited to release those. I don't know I know you guys mentioned it on the last one, but we did finish our estimating series for Shop Cotney. So we've got all estimating, whole campaign running where you're going to go ahead and find all of your estimating services that you need. For every training that's possible is out right now on Shop Cotney. And then we're preparing for IRE. IRE is going to be a big one coming up in February. We've got we're working on our booth, but also John will be speaking with Jill Bloom and doing some exciting industry results as well. So we're looking forward to all of that coming up in the near future.
Yeah, we got some busy times out there. Definitely you want to check out the Shop Cotney for the training. I've just completed a project management series coming out. So that's in production now. And we're going to move on to a lot of other aspects of the industry job. We're also, not all roofers on here listening. We have a wide variety. Met with the HVAC Association. So we've got some estimating training coming out for them and more developing into that. And I will lead you to one big one. We're going to be definitely looking into helping you with some of these workforce issues with training coming out in the first quarter of next year. So I think we've covered all that. Now, this is without a doubt our favorite time. So today, Whitney's our guest. So I've kicked the question of the day, question of the week over to Whitney. So Whitney, out of your pile of questions, if you pick one out and kind of kick out there, we'll see what we got from our viewers.
I did. I just pulled one out. It seems appropriate to what we're talking about today too. So that works really well. And it's from Brad. And the question of the day is, how do I attract and retain my workers? So I think this is a very hot topic, especially to what we're talking about today, John. And it really hits home to what a lot of contractors are feeling with the labor shortage and what do I do, especially as we just said, the great resignation is happening across the board. How do I keep my employees? And so do you want to jump into it?
Yeah, I'm happy to give it a go. Brad, it's a great question. Glad you sent it in. So, always talking to different contractors around the country, they all seem to have the same problem, which we faced for a long time. You get a worker, do I train a worker? Do they leave anyway? So you got to train. That's number one. You have to offer some sort of a career path. You got to hire by their abilities of a person, right? Where they're at in their moralities and their fit your company's, goals and vision and mission. That's a little different. Then you train them for the positions you want to hire. You have to do that. You've got to invest in training, regardless what it is, even if it's a receptionist or up to somebody that's handling, your warehouse. People, from the feedback that I'm getting, and Whitney, I'm going to kick this to you in a second here, because I know you've got some feedback. But what I'm hearing is, especially with the baby boomers and that jumping out, you've got to attract the millennials. And now the generation after that, and their biggest feedback is, I don't feel I'm being trained. I don't feel that I have a career path. I don't feel there's anywhere for me to go. And really, that's up to you as the business owner to try to create that pathway. It may not always be there, but honesty is always the best policy to let someone know where they can go. And, that's how I see it. How do you see it, Whitney?
I think so many of us can relate to that, where you've been inserted into a position where you had bare minimum training and you just kind of jumped into it. And I understand what that feeling is like. I think it's a very relatable thing. But in order to get to where we need to be in the industry, we need to start with training. And that comes from promoting from within. That is huge for our new generation as well, being able to know that your company is looking first at your existing staff in order to try to build from there. And that's number one. So I think training comes into play where you understand what do I need to do to get to the next level and how do I do that? And a lot of times your superiors just don't have the bandwidth to give you that training. So I think now more than ever, it's here to talk about how do we get more training? And especially when you're talking hands-on. So using other resources to get the training, being able to send your people to where they want to be. Also, listen to them. Send out surveys, find out, hey, what are you wanting to expand on? Do you need some leadership growth? Are you looking for sales training? Are you looking for hands-on training? What might that be? One way to find out what your employees might be looking for is to send out a survey, or just have in your one-on-ones, ask the question. And that's what the younger generation is wanting to be asked. Like, what do I need? And then you to be able to give those resources in your area, or maybe sending them somewhere in order to get that training and to be able to boost people up from within. So training is a huge hot topic, even if it's hands-on, bringing your field employees inside the company. Maybe that's a great career-wise when you're talking moving up to an estimator role or project management. All that kind of thing is giving a career path and showing them the training that they need to get there.
Yeah, great points. And the only thing I'll add into that is, Brad asked about the recruiting end of it. Use your training as a recruitment tool. So if you're going, out to, you want to get through a high school or college or just open job fair or however you're recruiting, or if you're recruiting on the internet, whatever your methods are that work well for you, you want to brag about the fact that you've got this training and career path, and really, do a video. do a video on this whole entire career path that you have laid out. You don't have to get specific, but show the people coming in that they're not stuck where they're at. If they're willing, you want to hire the best team and you're willing to train the best team. And I think that's where it's at right now.
And the only thing I'll add to that is show off your technology. Obviously, this generation is all about technology. Show off what you're using. How are you getting there? Show off your cutting edge tools that you're doing. And then obviously we already hit on it before, John, but job flexibility and benefits offering, keeping those things out there, making sure that you're giving them the flexibility that you can in order to promote, what the industry is looking for.
Agreed. Well, I think what we've covered today is, again, the world stays complicated, but we're always trying to get it in an open discussion to make it a little bit easier. So once again, Brad, thanks for sending a question in. We really enjoy that from our viewers. We got a pile of them we always like to get through. We answer them other than that. So if you need to get a hold of me for any reason, you can get me at jkenny@cotneycl.com, and Whitney as our guest. How do they get a hold of you if they'd like to talk to you?
You can reach me at wbeasley@cotneyconsulting.com.
Very good. Well, it's very nice to have had you here today, Whitney. I appreciate it. And once again, we're at a close for another episode of Law Mortar. And I want to thank our audience for joining us. We have made us the #1 podcast in the construction law podcast. And thank you again. Talk to you later.
Thanks.